Norman said, and we'll be talking to Priti Patel, the Employment Minister, a little later on, after 10 o'clock in fact. Next, a couple who had their baby girl wrongly taken away from them when she was just 1 month old have told this programme they want an inquiry into what happened so that people responsible can be held accountable. Back in 2013, Thurrock Council took Misty Barnes into care 30 days after she was born, saying it believed there could be a risk of violence to Misty and her parents in the local area. Misty was subsequently in foster care for 9 months, and social services were going to put her up for adoption. It was when those adoption papers were presented to her parents, Jack Barnes and Cheryl Rich, that they realised Jack had also been accused of being a suspected terrorist. Eventually, a judge threw the case out, describing it as a debacle. The family have been offered compensation by the council. They've rejected it and have decided to speak out now, as they feel justice hasn't been done. Hello, Jack. Hi, Cheryl.
Hiya.
Hello, Misty. How are you?
A bit excited at the moment.
Of course she is. She's all right. She can wander about. If you're happy, I'm happy. Hello, gorgeous. How are you, darling? Hello. You want to sit next to me? Good girl. Thanks for coming on the programme. An extraordinary approach from Thurrock Council. What on earth was going through your head when Misty was taken away when she was a month old?
All emotions, anger, frustration. It's hard to describe it, to put words into it, unless you've actually experienced it.
What about you, Cheryl? What did you think was going on?
You just feel that it's the most horrifying thing you can ever go through, because you know you're in the right. You know you've not done anything wrong. And they're saying all these horrible things about you. You're not fit parents, you're this, you're that. And you know inside you you've done right. You know, you've not done what they're saying. And like Jack said before, you know, it's the anger. You can't describe the anger, because your instinct is to say, no, you're not having my child, that's mine. We've carried her, we've had her, you know. But you know deep down that you have no control. Once that judge says they're going, you have to physically hand your child over. And
that is unimaginable for most people. Your baby is 4 weeks old, you have to hand them over to a complete stranger.
I mean, especially when you've got professionals smiling at you from through the glass in the room when you're handing that child over, because we refused point blank, didn't we, to hand Misty to any social workers. We'll hand her to the barristers, but not to anyone else. And when these professionals are smiling at you and laughing, and you've got barristers shaking their heads, you know, that builds so much. You want to explode at that point, but obviously you know, for the best interest of you getting your child back, you can't do it.
She was away for 9 months, and then the plan was that she was going to be put up for adoption.
Yeah.
She was going to be handed over to adoptive parents. And it was when you looked at these adoption papers that you realised that there was this claim that you were a terrorist?
Yeah, they said that was a threat to national security. They actually ignored the police and still filled out adoption forms, still took pictures of the baby, saying that I'm an actual threat to national security. The actual social worker on the BIF forms is actually a student social worker. When we checked on the HCPC to see if she was a registered social worker, she wasn't.
But I mean, this is incorrect, because there's no police investigation. These are the words. I mean, Mr. Barnes is a risk to national security. He made threats to blow up buildings, and he has the knowledge to do so. Incorrect.
Incorrect.
I mean, this was part of the stage 3 investigation that we had done, and part of our complaint was obviously Jack being called a threat to national security. This was upheld, that we was in the right, and it actually does state that it should have been placed on the forms, that it had been investigated by the police and found to be untrue. But yet, as you see, it was still
in the adoption papers.
It's still put on there.
And there were a number of other potentially catastrophic errors, catastrophic in terms of the future of your family, made by officials along the way. A few weeks after Misty had been taken into care, your solicitor received a letter about the wrong baby.
Yeah, wrong baby, wrong name.
Wrong sex, wrong council, completely out of our area.
And we just think that social workers are dealing with children's lives up and down this country, and it's on a regular basis they're not getting it right. Paperwork, breaking law, breaking policy, and there's parents up and down this country grieving for children that's wrongly been taken by social services. David Cameron's motto is keep families together. They've done totally the opposite.
They would, I mean, social workers, I've spoken to many of them, certainly in the last few years, they are under massive pressure as well. And they do get lots of decisions right. When they get it wrong, it is a nightmare though, isn't it?
That's it right there. I mean, why does there have to be a baby to die before there's a serious case review? Why has there got to be a death before there's a serious case review, you know?
The judge eventually said at the family court case there is little violence which can be attributed to Mr. Barnes. How did you feel when she ruled in your favour?
Well, actually, in the judgment, what was nice for us was because we were getting so upset at the time, because obviously you've got to sit there for her to finish the whole judgment before she tells you what's happening. And she actually calls a halt to the judgment halfway through and says, I can see this is upsetting you, but I'm going to put your mind at rest, your baby's coming home. And at that moment, she could have said to us, but you've got to go and live on Mars, and we wouldn't have heard nothing else. It was that moment was all that we heard, and that was it.
We was quietly confident before we went back to court for the result, but we did, like everything throughout the whole case, we kept it to ourselves, stayed off social networks, and just kept it to the court arena. The MP tried to get involved, but because we was in court process, she can only get involved for so much. And we owe it to Jackie Doyle-Price and Mark Coxshall, the fact that they were all advocates and guided us, especially Mark Coxshall. He guided me the whole way. I mean, I swore at that bloke and shouted at that bloke, and he knew what I was going through. So I owe it to Mark Coxshall, you know, as a friend as well.
What was it like when Misty came home, when you were reunited?
It was fantastic. It really was amazing. I mean, it was tinged with sadness as well, wasn't it? Because the foster carer had her for so long that when she came to give her back, nobody came with her. So this was an elderly lady bringing her back and saying goodbye. And she got very upset, really, really cried, and we felt bad in a way for taking our own child.
Felt guilty to take our own child back.
Yeah, but for making that lady feel like that. But you can't ever describe that feeling of waking up in the morning and just hearing her babbling away in her cot, and it was amazing. I think we cried for the first morning.
In terms of her growing up, though, what did you miss in those 9 months?
Everything. I mean, men miss quite a lot as it is by going to work when mum's come out of hospital, obviously to keep the cash flow going through the household. So, like, we've missed everything, haven't we?
Yeah.
First rollover, first smile,
First two.
the bonding process. To listen to someone that you love crying for the baby, she's just delivered what's not there. It's heart-wrenching every night, you know. And it's not 9 months of it.
We've got a couple of statements here. This from the council. The family have, at our request, followed the council's complaints procedure. If they're still not satisfied, they have been advised the next step is to approach the local government ombudsman. And the ombudsman says, as with any case, we'd expect the family to have used the local complaints procedure before we investigate. However, while our jurisdiction does not allow us to investigate the actions and decisions of a court, there may be aspects of this case that we can look at, and I'd encourage the family to contact us.
See, the thing is, what we don't want is to split our case up. The whole process from start to finish, the way we was dealt with. I've got past with previous social workers in the past. I was regarding Operation Care. I was failed as a child. And then I come to Essex, and then I'm targeted again by social workers.
So what do you want now, then?
We want a public inquiry. We want criminal charges for the criminal acts of perjury that's been committed in a court. There shouldn't be no secrecy in family courts. This is children's lives.
Well, there's got to be to protect the child, hasn't there?
Yeah, we understand that, but I mean, who's watching the watchmen, so to speak? We still haven't had justice after what we've gone through. How many other families are going to go through what we've gone through for justice? You know, I think there needs to be some sort of change in social services.
I mean, as far as we know, as I mentioned earlier, mistakes were made. There's no evidence to show that anybody deliberately lied. But an inquiry, you think, would get to the bottom of what exactly did go wrong.
The stage two process through the council, the complaints process, uncovers quite a lot of untruths by the social worker because it was held back from court.
Well, as I say, I've got no evidence to show that happened. Clearly, mistakes were made. Misty looks very happy.
Yeah.
She's very happy.
Back to normality. Yeah,
there was something I wanted to add to the council's comments. A lot of the way through our process, they said we are in the best interest of the child. You know, child safety is our paramount importance. But then we received a letter from the local authority stating on the 24th of February of this year had the department known at the original hearing what the department knew by the time of the final hearing, then in my view, no removal would have been warranted. That was so much frustration for us to say, you know, we've looked at it and sorry, we shouldn't have taken her really, but we're not going to take it any further, and here's what we've offered you.
But the question is, what do you know now, what you didn't know then?
Yeah. What have they looked back on and said, that's a bit different, you know, we shouldn't have done that.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Misty.
Sorry, just to be a pain, sorry, this is
Just say a quick thank you to Charlotte Feddarb from BTMK, because she's guided us and she's been a wonderful solicitor throughout the process, you know, and we owe it to her.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Brilliant, thank you.
Still to come a bit later on in the programme, Top Gear's new man at the wheel.